Welcome back to Greenlands, and today we are going to be starting work on the wildlife area. But first we are going to get some cows. So let's roll the intro and get to work. So yeah, up at the animal dealer, and we are going to get ourselves a trailer full of cows. Just checking which breed of cow we have in the milk barn. We're going to go for another 80 brown Swiss. I don't know if you remember, I separated out buying, so the plan was always to buy 160 because the pen holds 240, and that lets us have the calves, and then we can move those into the open pasture. The reason I split up the buying of them is, I say, it gives us space for 80 calves. So the first ones that we brought can have their calves, we can move them to the other pasture. The next lot can have their calves, etc, etc. And then we can raise the calves up in the open pasture and then either sell them or move them into somewhere where we can get milk from them. That's kind of the plan. So yeah, once we've done this, we're going to get some beef cattle as well. We'll get another trailer load of each of the beef cattle to put in the open pasture. And then we're going to head over to, we're going to head into December and then head over to the wildlife area and start destroying nature. No, we're not. I am going to cut down a bunch of trees and put in a big old field, but based on the one comment that you're taking the wildlife area and turning it into a farm, something like that, I'm actually going to put a bunch of trees back. I'm going to put more trees back than I take down to kind of act as a barrier once they're grown in, to separate the farm area that we're building from the town. So there's more trees going in, we're producing renewable energy, so yeah, you win for the environment, and we're going to make a buttload of cash. I said the plan is, I think I said in the last video, to put in the industrial BGA down there. We'll probably put a shed in a big clamp, might need 2 big clamps, and yeah, I'll run that as a bit of a silage farm. Let's get these unloaded. Although I only recorded this a couple of days ago, I don't actually remember how many of the trips I made that I am going to show you. So it was 3 trips basically, running backwards and forwards to get the dairy cows, and then 2 trips for the beef cow. It's quite a big trailer, 30 fully grown cows. It's not too bad, is it? Let's go. Let's run back over to the animal dealer. There may or may not be some dodgy driving coming up. So one of the things that I have realised as well is that the 2 things actually. The rock crusher, we can set that to selling, so we can sell off the excess lime that we have in there. Crash. I think that's +2 now. Yeah, so we can sell the excess lime off on there, so even though we don't have a lime sell point, we can sell it direct through the rock crusher and get quite a good price for that. And we can do the same with the fertilizer that we're making from the digestate. So I'm going to do both of those because, see, we're going to spend quite a lot of cash on animals, so probably sensible to get some of that back. And we're producing so much digestate that drying that into fertilizer and selling the solid fertilizer seems like a really good idea at the moment. And hopefully, I'm kind of thinking that next video we might make another loan payment. So there's 2 options in the next video, and comment below which one you think is sensible. I may or may not listen to you. I think we can make another $250,000 payment off the loan, or a John Deere 9RX crops up in sales. And I'm sort of thinking that we might need, I keep saying we need another big tractor, particularly with this monstrous field that we're going to create and the volume of silage we're going to be working. I think another 350 plus horsepower tractor is going to be a very sensible addition to the farm. So yeah, half price John Deere 8RX or loan payment. Let me know what you think. So we'll get this load of cattle brought and up to the farm, and then I'm going to jump ahead to the next game day and going to release some cool stuff for this video. You will have seen it in the thumbnail. I never used the Rodney stuff in FS19 because I refused to pay for 2 tree harvesters, which I would never have used. So we're going to release one of those because it's base game now, and also the man crusher. That sounds really dodgy, but it's a wood chipper on the back of one of the man trucks, and it works really well actually. You'll see later on that it's actually a really nice bit of kit. The wood chips are going to go into the biomass heater that we have on the farm, so we'll provide some warmth for the buildings or just generate us some cash, you know. This series is very much about generating money. We still owe £9.75 million to the bank. I have no idea how much silage is going to come off this field that we are going to create in the next few videos, and how much cash that is going to generate. I think it's going to be a lot. It may be reminiscent of on Sandy Bay on FS19. The last harvest I did on there was onions in whatever the really big field on Sandy Bay was, the biggest field, and I think I made £10 million from that one harvest, at least 5. And I'm wondering if this is going to be the same sort of scale, you know, whether we're going to make, you know, a few million quid off of that field, which will really help obviously because we need to pay the loan down. And because I'm not doing the American series, that little corner of the map is going to be my my American style farm. I'm going to balance that out with planting more trees, but we are going to have a big silage operation down there, providing power for the local community in an environmentally friendly way. So let's get these unloaded, and then I think I will do the rest off camera because it's going to take a little while, and then we'll skip ahead to the next morning. So need another 20 in there, and then we'll get the 60 beef cattle. I will see you in a moment. Okay, so I think this is me realizing we can sell the lime. So there's no lime sell point on the map because it's production. We can set it to selling, and we're just about to click over the time boundary. BGA is generating some cash as well, so it's not going to be all from selling the lime. But, you know, we got another 40 grand, which is pretty nice. Pretty pleased with that. I have no idea how many rocks we're going to get off that big old field that we're going to make as well. So we're making a decent amount of income now, you know, making sort of 300,000 a month, which is not too bad. That's going to tail off as the BGA starts to use up the supplies we have. The silage fermenters are close to being empty. I think probably by January the silage fermenters are going to be empty. Yeah, so there's our cows, 80 extra beef, extra brown Swiss, and then 30 Angus and 30 limousines. Right, let's get to work. So I'm going to put in a silo for the lime because we've got this auger wagon leased and we don't really need it anymore. That's one of the reasons I wasn't too worried about selling the lime off. We've got 40,000 litres in here. We're going to get a lot more rocks. And using the Yan lime spreader, actually it goes really far. So I think we're certainly we might buy one of those, although they're not very good for fertilizer. They are better for lime. But we're going to have that monstrous field to lime, so maybe it is worth buying one. Generally, with precision farming, I apply lime every harvest because it's easier to apply a little bit. Right, let's sell this 30,000 litres of fertilizer. Another nice little boost in income, and we'll get some more digestate going into that. Oh, I'm feeling a bit rough today. I don't know whether it's the after effects of last weekend, or whether I'm coming down with a cold or something. But yeah, not feeling my brightest today, and you can probably hear it in my voice. Next job we're going to do is get the pallets of lime. So they came out of the Yan lime spreader. I think we'll just drop those into the silo as well. And the cool thing about having that silo there is we can set up auto drive to use it if we need to. I have off camera, I finished liming all of the grass fields that we had. Didn't see the point in showing even more liming. So I'm going to buy a log fork just in case we need to load some logs into the crusher. The tree harvester and the crusher we're going to get delivered down to the area where we're going to be working, because they don't trust me to drive them through the town. So this is the MAN TGX Gens crusher, at least that, and the Rotney H21D. 30 grand's worth of leasing costs there, but this should make short work of getting rid of all of the trees. So we own up to about the boundary of field 88, between 88 and 89, which you can just see on the top of the mini map. There is a fairly deep contour just in front of where we are. So my plan is that's where I'm going to plant some of the replacement trees, and we're going to keep the field on to the flat bit of the ground. And I'm just going to harvest straight into the crusher rather than cut the trees and then pick them up with the grapple. I do a little bit of that later, and it's not as bad as I thought actually. That's just going to take the whole darn tree. So we'll get the trailer parked underneath, and yeah, let's get to work. We have a lot of trees to cut down. It's something like 27 or 28 trees we need to take out to make space for the field. And it's not particularly densely populated with trees, so I am going to put back in, I think I do 60 trees, so we are, we're doubling the number of trees. And I'm going to put more in, I think. Partly because depending on how long we're playing on here and how quickly they grow, maybe we'll harvest some of them. We'll keep putting more back in, doing our bit for the environment and all that stuff. But mainly we are going to farm this big expanse like crazy. I have been pondering, so I'm just grabbing a screenshot there. A little bit of lazy editing. I have been pondering, so I mentioned the John Deere 9RX. I think this area of large-scale farming we're creating warrants some big kit. We'll see if we can afford it. So I'm going to put these in the bunkers that the biomass eating plant has. We'll worry about filling it up later. We'll get the conveyor belt in to start filling it. I think that seems like the sensible option. We'll do that a bit later on though. Let's get some trees chopped first. So this is a bit that got missed. I'm not sure why I'm trying to pick it up with the log fork, because it's really quite light. So we'll put it on the log fork. They slowly moved around the map with the kit so that we could minimize the amount of moving trees. And in the end, what I did, this took quite a long time, was go around with the Rotney, chop all the trees down, and then take the wood chipper to the trees. It seemed to work better in the end. The Rotney is quite slow, but it's a nice bit of kit actually. I had a lot less issues with this. This is the first time I've used a tree harvester in FS22. I had a lot less issues with it than I did in 19 with tree harvesters. I found quite often I would end up dropping trees out of the harvester after one cut, whereas with this it seemed to work really well. It seemed to handle the trees better as well. There wasn't too many issues with flying trees. Did a little bit with the rock crusher or the wood crusher, but no. That was one that I dropped intact. We can't have everything, can we? Do have the telehandler here for this to help deal with it, and actually we can try using the crane. See if we can feed the tree in with the crane. The controls are a bit non-intuitive, I found. So playing on keyboard, I think quite a lot of them are on the middle mouse button or double mouse button. So for keyboard it's control and shift together, I think. If we can grab this tree further down, we can then pull it through the crusher. There we go. Job's a good one. it's a really effective bit of kit. If you want to clear a lot of trees, I would definitely consider it. If you just want to sell the lumber, actually the mobile wood sell point is so good. Was using that on the last multiplayer game on Averaging Countryside, which is now stopped because people were having issues with the map. But yeah, it was a great way of clearing trees. And you cut the trees down, drag them over to the sell point and sell. Mr. CDP was using it as well on his Western Wildlands, Wild West Lands Let's Play. The one we're using for competitive multiplayer. I need to write down the name of that map and have it on a post-it note for at least for when we're recording. But we're not going to be recording until next week on that because I'm away with work. I have said that, I think. I have okay internet, but it seems to block gaming, so I can't connect to any multiplayer games, which is kind of frustrating at the moment. It also seems to limit bandwidth for uploading to YouTube. So if I run a speed test, it says it has 180 meg up and down. When I try and upload a video, it gives me 10. So they're obviously doing some throttling depending on what people are trying to do, but it's free and it's way better than a lot of hotels have. So can't complain. It's fine for watching YouTube and things like that, whereas some of the hotels that I stay in even struggle to let you watch YouTube. We are making progress getting through this. It's not quite as long a video as some of them have been lately. Honestly, in the end, as is often the way with forestry, I got a bit bored. So although I did say we're planting more trees and we might cut them down, actually we might just plant more trees and let them grow. Assuming we don't get any lag issues, then yeah. Second trailer of wood chips going into the bunker. It might be the third actually. Second or third, and those little bays are just high enough, and we're going to switch now to the lorry and the big trailer because there's a lot of wood chips, so it makes sense to use the much bigger trailer. We have also at the same time taken the last of the cut sugar beet out and put that into the sugar factory. So, I keep saying it, I'm really intrigued to see how this is going to work out with such a big field. We have 2 6-meter planters. Now what I can't decide is whether I should course play those or follow me those so that I can run one of them, which gives us effectively a 12-meter planter, or whether I should just lease one big planter or 2 big planters. I'll see how it's going once we get around to planting. Planting is quite a way off. I want to get this done through December and probably January because, you know, we're going to have to lime this area. I need to update precision farming actually before I plow it in because they've improved some things. I'm going to need to lime this area. I'm going to need to fertilize it probably. So this is me starting to mark out the field. I'm going to be using GPS to try and get a nice square field for most of the field. That should be okay. We might be able to get one more strip over once I've taken this tree out that's just ahead of us. I don't want to get too close to the map boundary, but actually the trees work quite well, so we might go one more plows width across. I originally thought I would use course play to start ploughing this in, but with all the tree stumps we're leaving, I just am going to mark out the area so we know which trees to remove and which trees we can leave. So I'm not going to go all the way to the production site because I want to build the BGA and the clamps in here. I'm hoping I've left enough space. I'm not entirely sure I have, but we'll see. We can always use some of the other land that we have up here, so I'm not completely going to the edges of the boundaries. So we do have more space. Yeah, I think we're going to need a couple of big clamps and the BGA and maybe a shed. I think that's what I would like to have up here. Didn't quite get the line right for joining up to where we started, so we're just going to deviate a little bit from the straight GPS course. But that's our field marked out. And then this is me going around chopping all the trees down and just cutting them into 5-meter logs, and then we'll go around and pick them up with the wood crusher. So what I realised, and it gets a little bit cheater, so I got a little bit tired of doing this, is that the crusher can hold a lot of wood chips before it needs to empty into the trailer. So actually what I did is I drove around without a trailer and filled the crusher up, and then we take the crusher back to the farm to unload into those silo bay thingies. Yeah, so we've got an area here where we could maybe put a clamp in as well. But this is where I've done it, the area that I fill with trees, so maybe not. We'll have to see as the trees grow in. We might have to take some of the ones that we plant out and put them in a different area. I think eventually the plan is to expand right the way along this wild area, and turn it into a mass farm. We need to do a little bit of landscaping here because there seem to be some dips in the terrain, so we're just going to smooth that out a little bit because it'll make it easier when it comes around to ploughing, planting and harvesting. It does also mean that maybe we don't need to do quite so much maize up on the main farm, and maybe we can diversify a little bit up there or do a few fields of more similar crops. So let's have a go with this crane. We'll grab a couple of logs and see if we can feed them into the wood chipper. But yeah, the grab works quite well. The crane controls I found are not very intuitive, but there we go. And got them all chipped, and we are now up at the farm. And what I had hoped is that we could shoot direct from the truck into the biomass heating plant, but we can't, and it can't hold anywhere near as much as is stored in the truck. So we're going to get the belt, we're going to load up from the belt into the heating plant silo, and then we're going to put the rest into those pits that are there and work through it over the winter. I suspect it might take quite a long time to get through this volume of wood chips. As long as they're processed before we get around to harvesting the poplar that we plan to plant, then should be okay. And little shout out to Kartek and his silly mistake of asking people what crop should I plant. Sorry about the poplar field. My plan is to do poplar on here for the wood chips, so it's one of the more profitable crops, and particularly putting it through the slightly modified biomass heating plant that we have. And I'll be using the forage harvester header. I won't be making the bales. I think you get a bit more by using the forage harvester. You get a factor of 4. I don't know what the baler gives. I suspect 1. But yeah, you do get more by using the forage harvester. Right, that's the wood chipper is empty, and we just brought the trailer over with what was left in it as well. Just going to need to move the conveyor down so we can get the trailer to tip into it. And actually what I found in the end was it was just better to tip it on the floor, because that is a conveyor that will pick up off the floor. So yeah, that worked well in the end. And now we're going to go and replant some trees. So we'll take the fen over to the store, and I have brought the tree planter. I forgot to record that bit, and we are going to get a pallet. I've added in the bigger tree pallets mod, so we're going to get a pallet of 60 pine trees. I could not for the life of me think which tree I needed to plant to get something that would be harvestable with a tree harvester. Hopefully this is the right tree. Let me know in the comments below. And yeah, we're just going to stick these in. I'm going to manually choose how far apart they are, because for some reason you can't choose that in FS22. But shout out to the channel members. Thank you for supporting the channel. And if anyone would like to support the channel, there is the link below to become a YouTube channel member, or you could join Patreon for my exclusive Let's Play series on there, and some insight into future projects that are coming. But yeah, I'm just randomly driving around, dropping trees into the area that we own, that we are not going to be ploughing in, and that is a definite benefit of me having ploughed the outline in. Next episode, we are going to be ploughing that field in, probably run the field scanner on courseplay to get that done, and maybe we'll get the lime as well. We'll see how long it takes to plough. I don't want to do a whole video of just me ploughing a field, you know. Maybe you'll watch that, maybe you won't. So I'm trying to do a kind of line of trees down here, because make a little entranceway to the little farm industrial area that's going to be there. Well, we've already got an industrial area there, but you know what I mean. The big BGA and silage clamps and stuff. And just running some trees along the road here. Basically trying to create a bit of a natural barrier between the development we're doing down here and the town area. Thanks for watching, folks. I will catch you next time.